That very reason.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. Happy Tuesday. I'm going to give people some time to join. I see things are never going up. Hi, Danny.
All right.
Hello,
What's
everyone.
going on, Felix? What's going on, Nelson? Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Oh, dang, this chat's going crazy.
Nice to meet you. Wow, this is awesome. Super fun. Cool. I can go ahead and get started with some introductions here as people are starting to filter in. So hello again, everyone. My name is Zoe. I run a lot of our user education programming here at Notion, and I'm really excited to be here today with all of you and with Thomas Frank. And so I have the privilege of announcing him today, and then he's going to get into sharing some of his setup, which I'm really excited about. So Thomas is a video creator and a writer with a focus on productivity, learning, and personal development. His YouTube channel has over 2.3 million followers, and he is a Notion power user. He creates awesome tutorials, Notion templates. You've probably seen some of his YouTube videos, and they are truly amazing. What started for him as a personal project in college is now a full-blown company with multiple employees, tons of stakeholders, and we are so lucky to get to hang out with him today while he shares how him and his team manage their content production process in Notion. And whether you are here as a content creator or just looking to get more organized, I think this session will be pretty inspiring and pretty fun and have a lot of interesting information for you. And we will have a lot of time for Q&A at the end, so make sure that you stick around for that. Before I hand it over officially, I just want to highlight two features here. It looks like folks have found the chat, which is awesome. So we'll use the chat for general banter, saying hi. You can actually go ahead and let us know what you use Notion for in the chat. That'd be great, and we can try to tailor some of our content to you. And then you'll also see this Q&A tab. And if you have a question that you want Thomas to answer, please put it in that questions tab so it doesn't get lost. And then other folks can upvote questions and we'll answer those in order of priority. So again, chat for banter and fun, and questions for anything more specific that you need answered. And with that, I will pass it off to Thomas to do any additional introducing and get into it.
All righty. Thank you so much, though. And welcome, everybody. So I already see somebody in the chat says they're using Notion to manage YouTube channel and 2 blogs and an entire clothing company. If that is also you, this session is going to be especially helpful, because what I am planning on primarily doing in this session is showing you how I use Notion to manage all of my YouTube channels, my blogs, basically my whole social media empire with which I will take over the world someday. And so I'm just going to kind of run you through the channels that I am currently creating content for and managing, give you a bit of info on my team and what we do on a week-to-week basis, and then actually get into the system that we built inside of Notion that we actually use. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get that fun little infinite window effect right here. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, my name is Thomas Frank, and I run primarily this YouTube channel, also called Thomas Frank. And on this channel, I basically teach people how to adult these days. It started out as a channel where I primarily taught people how to be better in school, which was where I started, just being a college blogger, essentially. Now I make videos covering productivity, books you should read in your 20s. I'm getting a bit into personal finance because I'm a nerd for personal finance. So a lot of videos that are just kind of directed around personal development, self-improvement, that kind of thing. I also have a channel called Thomas Frank Explains, which is entirely a Notion tutorial channel. So if you are wanting to learn more about Notion, this is another resource you can check out. I'm working on an entire basics series where I basically teach the fundamentals of Notion. The latest video is in that series. And then I also do more complicated and in-depth build guides like this one down here on building a task manager from scratch inside of Notion. And I still can barely believe that video has 355,000 views. We also have a personal blog where I create written versions of all my Notion tutorials along with other blog posts, a college blog called College Info Geek. This is actually where I started my career. This was my dorm room project that became a full-time business, and we have 1 article per week coming out on this. Very detailed, and we do a lot of keyword and SEO research for our articles, trying to build really fundamental catalog of content for students there. And we manage all of this inside of a system that I call Creators Companion. Just to give you a little bit of a heads up, I actually have this available as a template over at thomasjfrank.com/cc. I'll talk about that a bit later. But for now, I kind of want to get into the actual system itself, which looks like this. And Zoe, if you want to pop in, I can't see the chat. Let me know if people are saying that I'm not zoomed in enough or not, but hopefully I am.
Will do.
Okay, so essentially what we've created here is a singular dashboard where we can manage the entire content production process from idea generation to the project management phase, which would include things like research, scripting, editing if it's a video. And then we also use it as a library for content that has been published. So we can do analysis on it. We can compare videos that maybe didn't do so well with videos that did really do well. We have things like a B-roll library, so I can search, where a different shot may have come from if I want to use it again. And what this essentially does for us is replaces the juggling act that we used to do as internet circus clowns, juggling a bunch of different tools to manage our whole process. In the past, I would dump ideas into Evernote. I would have to manage all the tasks around a video into Todoist, or I would try to write them down, or sometimes like try to use a Google spreadsheet. And then I didn't have like a really good library and archive for analyzing past performance and keeping, information about videos I'd already done in the past. Now we have that inside of Notion. It took me, I think, 3.5 years to get this into the form that it's currently in, but now it basically runs at least the content arm of my business. Personally, I have a team, including myself and 3 other full-time people right now, along with a couple of freelancers who work part-time hours. So they're in here helping me out with things. And what I want to do now is basically just show you how we take a video from the idea stage to a finished project. And what I have here is my actual template that we are using, the live one, and then I have a demo version right here. And the only thing I'm going to use a demo version for is the ideas area, because I don't want to give away all of my content ideas to y'all. Maybe if you ask very nicely later on. But one thing we have here is, I guess this is the first part of our process, which is collecting ideas. So something that is very important to me is the idea of quick capture. Anytime I have an idea, I want to be able to instantly go to a page in my Notion workspace and capture that idea. And this is where I can do that. We have a master database for all of our content projects, and they always live there, no matter if they're an idea or they're something that's actually in progress or whether they're done. That's where they stay. And then we use the power of linked databases and filters to see only what we want to see on certain pages. So one thing that we've done recently is use the new Notion grouping feature to actually group by the channels inside of our template. So what you can see here is that we have a different channel page for every one of my social media properties. So for example, we have the Thomas Frank channel, and I can open this up and give it a couple of seconds to load, I guess. Hang out with a wheel. And we can see the videos that are in progress. And this is only unique to my channel because we're filtering by relation to the channel. And we can also see any videos that are done, along with who sponsored them, when they went live, their URL if I want to check them out, and maybe even some performance notes. So like this video right here, we had some notes about it being part of the Team C's campaign and how that may have affected performance. And because of that relation, we can just go ahead and add ideas directly to the channel now, which is great. So if I had maybe an idea for building, let's see, a para template in Notion, which would be a good partner to a video that I'm doing with Thiago Forte next year, I could just put that right there, and I would have that as an idea inside of Notion. So this is a great place to collect all of our ideas and have them separated by the channel they are in. We also, inside of our channels, if I go to my Thomas Frank channel right here, can go a little bit further. So like I said before, the Thomas Frank channel is about more than just productivity. It might be about study skills. It might be about personal finance. So in our ideas area, we can actually create tags and further organize and sort our ideas by their category. And then once we're actually ready to make an idea, we can literally just drag it down into our planned area. And now it's in our production pipeline. So from there, I'm going to switch over to the actual Creators Companion that we are using for my businesses. So I kind of showed you how the channels work themselves. One other thing I'll show you, I think this is very important for anybody running a business, especially if you have teams, is to have some sort of knowledge base, to have some sort of wiki where you document common processes, especially if you have a team, and then you can give them those articles. So for example, we have a YouTube video publishing guide here, and we'll have a publishing checklist in here with anything that needs to be done when we are publishing a video, such as testing our thumbnails with Thumbs Up, which is a tool that my agency actually created for seeing how thumbnails look at the actual sizes. You'll see them on YouTube, testing title variations, uploading videos to Nebula, all the things we do. And then we have other guidance like, how to put timestamps in the video, how to put a pinned comment in the published video. Really useful to be just basically always creating documentation anytime there is a repeat process. From there, I'm going to keep things intentionally simple for this demonstration, but as an overview, I've designed this tool to help us with the entire content creation process as we run it. So we are creating content full time, which means that we're investing time and money into our content. And that means we have to be extra careful and extra serious about validating the topics that we do. If we make a title and a thumbnail and a topic that is a banger, as Mr. Beast would call it, then that could be the difference of double or triple the views, better sponsor rates, better reach over time, all kinds of great things just because we put more time into making sure what we were creating would actually connect with our audience. So for that reason, we have an entire validation view where we can tag things as high SEO value, and we'll validate that with a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush. We use Ahrefs personally. Things like Google Trend data, or gut predictions, and I'll run these by my team. But the main thing where the main action happens is our project manager view. So this is something that I wanted for a very long time. I wanted a page where I could see the status of every project that's in progress across all of my YouTube channels and blogs. So now we have that. We use the grouping view here. So we have different stages of the content process, be it planned, research, writing, review, ready to record, editing, and I can actually get my little bottom bar to show you the whole thing. Can go all the way to ready to publish and completed. So all the things we have currently scheduled for my channel are in planned, research, and writing with one thing in editing. And this is a pretty big video. And then if I go back, we can see all of that for our other channels as well. This is something that I absolutely love Notion for. Recently, they came out with a subgrouping feature, so you can create what are called Swimlanes. So I have all of the videos related to the Thomas Frank channel here, but I can collapse that and just see things related to Thomas Frank Explains right here, and etc. We also have a full editorial calendar. So this shows the publishing dates for literally every channel and every piece of content on those channels. So we can see what does our month look like at a glance and see what the status is of all those projects as well. So this is kind of like the home base. And then for anybody who's ever used my Ultimate Tasks template before, we integrated the Ultimate Tasks template into our Creator's Companion. So we can actually see at the bottom tasks that are related to a specific video. So all of these tasks are actually related to this credit card basics video that I will be working on later today after this presentation. And it looks like by tomorrow, I need to have the script and the outline written. So that's kind of our overall project manager view. And Martin, who is on my team, basically lives here and makes sure that everything is on schedule. So when I want to create a new project, typically I would start in the idea phase. But just to show you a very simple example of how you could get a project going in a system like this, maybe something you build yourself, or you could use this system, is you could add it to any one of these stages. So right now, I know, based on my research that I did for the credit card basics video, I need a companion video. I needed a separate video to completely explain credit scores. There's too much detail to fit it in this one video. So I'm going to go ahead and go to research, and I can just type credit card or credit scores explained right there. And now that is basically scheduled. And what we've created is a template that we'll use to manage the entire project inside of this one page. So I can go ahead and hit this. And our template is kind of big, so it's going to take a little bit of time to pop in here. And it may not be everything. Maybe not be that everything inside of this template is something that you need. These are specific things that we've found to be very useful over the years. And they include things like a area for managing tasks specific to this video. And we use a little bit of a trick to get some default tasks into this task board, which I can show you a bit later. We have a B-roll table. So if I've got different shots that are going to go over the talking head portion of the video. I can basically create my ideas for that here. I can tag them. I can put the timestamps where they're going to need to go in the video editing software. And then we have pages that come in for things like research and notes, for topic validation, and even for planning out related content. So say you're going to make a YouTube video like this credit scores explain video. You also want to create a blog post for it. Well, I could come into related content and I could create a new one. Let's just call it credit scores blog. I'm going to go ahead and give that the Thomas Frank blog channel relation. And now that is planned. And these two pieces of content are related. If I wanted to do a series of TikTok videos or a tweet thread, I could also plan those out right here, and they're all related. And if I wanted to, I could also give them a focus keyword for SEO stuff. We won't get into that right now, but there is documentation on it. Another thing, like I said before, that we do is a lot of topic validation. Again, if we put 30 hours into a video, because it can often take 10 hours to write, it can take me a couple hours to film, it might take 15 to 20 to edit, and we picked the wrong topic or we didn't do a good thumbnail, then it's not going to do as well as it could. And I don't want to leave all that potential on the table. So a lot of times we'll come in and we'll use this auto-generated topic validation worksheet to brainstorm tons of title ideas, tons of thumbnail ideas. We have a few questions we ask ourselves, like, has our audience even asked for this topic? Has competition been successful with it? This one's very interesting as a content creator because a lot of content creators are afraid of copying other people. And the thing about topics is nobody owns a topic. So really, this is a good question to ask because sometimes you might be barking up the wrong tree going after a topic that nobody actually cares about. Maybe it's too niche, or maybe it's just something that is completely fallen out of favor. But if other creators are talking about, say, Notion, you might know, like, okay, Notion is hot right now. I could put my own unique spin on it, but there's a lot of interest around it. We can also do search volume research. We can do Google Trends research to find out, is this something worth actually going for? And what I want to do is actually show you a non-empty version. I want to show you a done project so you can see what this looks like when we actually have stuff in there. So one view that we have is, I'm going to actually go to maintenance. This is where we have things like on hold projects. And then I'm going to click to analysis. I basically create a little shortcuts to go through the whole process. We have this analysis view. And this is our area for tracking the performance of videos. So it looks like I have a few that I need to go ahead and do, but we'll track things like average view duration, the percentage of the view duration, click-through rate. These numbers are literally taken from a presentation that Mr. Beast did at VidSummit earlier this year. I think it was in August. And this is what they actually do with his videos. They will basically determine a threshold. And I believe for Mr. Beast, it's 30 million views. And when a video hits 30 million, they'll go through and they will get all this data at that threshold. So how many impressions has the video gotten? What was the click-through rate percentage? How long did people watch? And they use that to gather data and basically show which videos have done well and which videos have not done so well. And using that data, they can make smarter decisions in the future. So I do that. And then I also have a perfect record of everything we did on a video that never goes away. And this is something that I wouldn't be able to get with a traditional task manager. So inside here, we have things like the URL to the video, the sponsor. This was CuriosityStream with the URL. In this case, CuriosityStream actually sponsored us just talking about Team C's, which was cool. It was like a charity thing. And you can see in here, we have all of these tasks that are related to this video in particular. And I filtered these specifically to not disappear when we click done. I could. Instead, I just have a little formula that will make it a smiley face when it's checked off. And my COO, Martin, can go ahead in here and he can check and make sure that everything is being done on time. So a couple of things I'll show you. Our research and notes page. This is auto-generated with our template. This is where I basically do all the research for the video. So in this case, it was a video on how your environment affects your ability to focus. So I had tons of basically links to things I wanted to tell stories about, to research, actual studies, things like that. And then I kind of outline a lot of my points inside this research page. So this is my area where I can essentially make a mess and brain dump everything that I think should go in the video. And then we have an actual script page. So this is our big piece of guidance when we're actually filming the video. And a couple of things I'll point out here. We create headings, and then we actually color these headings and label them based on whether they are going to be a section that I actually film on camera or a section that I do as a voiceover. So I can go and I can film all my on-camera sections, and I have an iPad sitting right next to me as I film. So I don't really use a teleprompter, but I do look at the lines on the iPad. I'll memorize a line like this, and then I'll say it to the camera as many times as it takes. And then I'll go over to my computer later on and I will record the VO. I think for this video, we were a little bit crunched for time, so I ended up doing the whole thing on camera. But there are a lot of videos where I did just go ahead and do VO sections, and it just kind of shakes things up a little bit. I like that style. Something we also do is typically we come up with B-roll ideas for things like animation or stock video or shots that we want to go get. Typically, we come up with those ideas after we filmed, but sometimes during the scripting process, I will think of something that I know I want to have in the video. So I will go ahead and create a highlight in the script, and then I have a comment there that my team can see, and we can go ahead and add that to our B-roll ideas later. So this, again, is an evergreen script that's always going to be here. And then I can also often take this and turn it into a blog post version later on. And I get double the bang for my buck by doing that. I create a YouTube version, and then with maybe an hour of extra work, I can create a blog post version that has yet another shot at ranking highly for Google search terms, and also can bring people from YouTube to my own website where I can sell products or get them on my email newsletter, all kinds of cool stuff like that. From that point onward, it is now basically in my editor, Tony's hands. And from there, we will come up with B-roll ideas. So here is a look at kind of how we set up our B-roll ideas. We use a tool called Frameio to upload a rough cut of my talking head footage. And then we'll basically go through and add comments for things like potential shot montage of a workspace elements, 4 ways energetic text pops. Like all these kinds of things are basically just little things to jog our memory or remind us of what we wanted to put in the video at a certain timestamp. The nice thing about Frame.io is it actually adds the timestamp into the comment data. So we'll do what's called a CSV merge, and that's a bit technical, but if you get any of my YouTube templates, there are instructions for that. So we have the timestamp right inside of Notion by doing a CSV merge, and then we go ahead and tag everything. And what tagging does is it lets us do something called batching. This is actually what got me into Notion and what was like my original brain blast for why I wanted to use Notion over everything else. For probably 5 years during my YouTube career, I was creating these chronological lists of B-roll. And then when I was gathering my B-roll up, maybe going to locations to shoot footage or taking screencast recordings, I would have to figure out like this really laborious process to figure out like, okay, what all do I need to film? Because I want to batch it. I don't want to go chronologically because I'd be, darting all over from location to location, returning to places I've already been, resetting up cameras. I want to know what are all the shots I need to film right here, even if they're not chronologically together in the video. So we can tag things by location and by their type of media. So this is a filmed thing that goes into the office. This is an online image I'll get from a stock website or something like that. Archive is stuff we already have. And then our template has a gather view that automatically sorts by the tags. So here's everything I need to film, and then I can further sort by location. So all these things were shot in the office. They may be all over the video, but I can just go to the office for 1 hour and I can shoot all of this stuff. And then when it comes time to actually edit, I can switch back to this chrono view and everything can just be placed on the timeline in chronological order. So it's all about making every process as efficient as possible, every step of the process. And then once that's done, my team and I will review the video. We basically go through and do like a final review. And then we have our publishing checklist, which reminds us of all the things we're supposed to do. This is very important for me because if I don't have a publishing checklist, I will probably forget to do things like, checking the sponsor call to action, making sure the link works, making sure I look at the UTM parameters in there, adding end cards and cards. There's all these little tiny things that I need to do for every video, but I don't always remember them. So I've got this checklist, and that way I never, ever forget. And that is essentially a look at the way that we manage our whole production process. There are some extra technical bits in here, but I think this was enough of an info dump. So I'm going to go ahead and swap back over to my camera if I can.
Yeah, I can go ahead and maximize that one for you, I think. Thank you so much, Thomas. I learned a lot. I do a lot of content. Obviously, I'm here. And I feel like I learned a lot. I love the idea of the quick capture. That's something I've started doing. And it's been super helpful as a personal practice for me. And also that project manager view is just absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for sharing that. So I'm seeing so many questions in this questions tab, which is awesome. Just a reminder to folks, put your questions in there and go ahead and upvote others. The first one, it's a thought-provoking question, so we're not starting easy here. If you were forced to start over with your template, what would you do differently, given the fact that you probably know more now than when you started? Yeah, like I said, it's not an easy question.
There's nothing I would do differently because it's not like we are using the same template that we were using 3 years ago. We've been constantly tweaking this template over the years. And right now it is in a more sophisticated and well thought out place by far than it even was 6 months ago, because 6 months ago is when I decided to turn it into a product. So at that point I had to really think through, okay, how do we use it? And what does everyone else who is maybe a potential customer want from us that we could also add into ours? So that's how the SEO and research database was born. We wanted to actually track keywords that we're trying to rank for. We didn't have that before. So building that in was pretty sweet.
Nice. Are there any like specific workflow things that you had to think through when you were productizing it that, you know, you did on your own, you didn't have to think about it, but presenting to other people, it had to change?
I think I took notes about this process, but I would have to look into them. The thing that is like, you know, clacks into my head right now is when Notion introduced the grouping feature where I could group by relation. That was like a huge game changer. It changed everything, because in the past we still use the board view for ideas, but you could only categorize by a tag, not by a relation. So we had to have like a separate tag for every channel, and then we have to go in and add the relation later on. Now it just boom, it's in the channel, which means we can go into our channel page and we can track ideas, or we can have that one big board for tracking ideas, which is really nice.
Yes, awesome. I love that. And I love, Esteban said, that's the beauty of Notion. It grows with you. Very much agree.
Yeah, actually
cool.
Listen to my complaining.
Yeah. Another question is, do you have any tips to make your Notion page more minimal, as in not make it too crowded visually? And also sends love from Indonesia. Thank you for being here so early in the morning, Frameio.
Yeah, well, thank you. So the biggest thing that I do for making my Notion space not so crowded is I just use pages. Like, I know everyone loves to make the crazy aesthetic dashboards that do well on Reddit, but like I just put stuff in pages, and if I feel like something is getting too cluttered up, I'll just take elements of it and put it in a different page. The beauty of linked databases is I can use almost the same database for like almost everything I do, but I can just create another linked database and put it somewhere else. So like if anyone has used Ultimate Tasks, it doesn't look like those crazy complicated dashboard task managers that you've seen probably. It's just like most pages are a single table, because all you need to see is what's due today, what's due in the next week.
Awesome. Yeah. I think pages are a good way to go there, and just like breaking it up. Like, don't be afraid to use white space, which can help.
Ooh, and hide things in toggles too.
I love toggles. Cool. You kind of touched on this one, but it's gotten some upvotes, so we'll ask it anyways, which is, how does your research process work with Notion? Academic papers, blogs, videos, etc. Maybe you could just like double click into that section that you showed.
Yeah, sure. Am I still sharing my screen? Yes, yeah, I am. Cool. Yeah. Infinite window. So we have a couple of different ways of doing research. Actually, this is a good answer for the, you know, the question about how my thought process changed when I was productizing this. So I wanted people who were really serious about research to be able to have something similar to like Zotero or a citation manager inside of Notion. And so in our SEO and keyword research view, first thing we have is a keywords database where you can track keywords. And then if you use a tool like Ahrefs for SEO research, you can even link to like a URL where you track like the volume, search volume, difficulty, things like that, and associated content. So like books to read in your 20s, I have my video on that. And then I have a blog post I'm working on that. And I obviously want that to rank #1. But what you can also do is associate just articles or journal articles or papers or anything with keywords and with content. So if you're doing a video on how the environment affects your focus, you could go and you could basically create a row for every one of these. You could even use the Notion web clipper to clip right into this research database and then associate that with the video you're working on. So let me quickly find that finished video that I was working on. And this will kind of show you the way that I do it versus the way that you could do it. So personally, I like speed. So when I'm creating my research, I just dump links and I make bookmarks. And then if I'm doing a really serious article, I'll go and make Zotero citations later on. But the template, I think I deleted it in that one. Let me find one where I wouldn't have deleted it. Inside the template, we use what are called self-referential filters, where basically you have a template that gets, the filters get updated to your new instance. So in this case, how to automate your finances. Inside the research page, there is a toggle where you could just add research to a specific article, and that would just be there associated with that article. So you could create a well-organized research database for specific content, and then it's inside a master research database. It's always going to be there for you in the future. And then if you wanted to, you could flesh it out. You could tag it. You could add links to the journals that you're using quite often. The world's basically your oyster.
That is awesome. I did academic research in college, and that would have saved me hours. I remember like quite literally writing down the references that I was using in my paper, like on a notebook. And I can't even imagine having that.
Yeah, I think Zotero is actually something that'd be useful as a companion to this app, because I believe Zotero can actually create the citations for you depending on whether it can parse the URL or not.
Awesome. Very cool. Awesome. We have another like kind of general question, which is, can you suggest good patterns to structure my data? I want to manage tasks, notes, project ideas, blog ideas, book and purchase wish lists. Any ideas and suggestions would be nice.
Can you say the question again? Because it's kind of a broad one.
Yeah, sure. It is broad. So it's just general patterns to structure data. Maybe if you could talk through like best practices that you think about when you're building a database or a dashboard, that might help.
I guess we can just look through the stuff in Creators Companion, because I definitely have things I think about. So like Creators Companion has 60, 70 properties in it. So there's a lot. That said, like there are properties that I chose not to add to this template because it's very easy to go overboard with properties that you don't need. And I worked very hard to make sure that these properties are out of your way if you don't need them. And they're only there, they're only visible usually in specific linked database contexts where you may need them. And I also use like this little thing right here to make sure that there's all these things down here that people really don't need. So they just kind of like run the template in the background. And I guess it kind of doesn't matter if you're hiding things well. So the biggest thing I'd say is if you're managing knowledge, like add any properties you want, but then the biggest piece that you can do as from a tailoring perspective is your linked database views. So you see only what really matters in the specific instance. So like here in the maintenance or the analysis view, this is that same database, master content tracker, but we only see the properties that really matter to this view. So the name of the video, the published date, the channel, and then our different performance statistics and performance notes. Whereas if we are looking in, say, the validation view, we're going to see very different properties. So this is a view where we want to validate the ideas that we have before we greenlight them. And so if I don't like it, I'll just hit graveyard and it will actually disappear. It'll go to a special graveyard area. And I can actually go ahead and mark my search interest by using Ahrefs. I can mark my topic trend by using Google Trends and things like that. Hopefully that's helpful. This is a very, very broad question. So yeah, it's something that is, I think, specific to the type of data you're trying to manage. One thing that I will mention here, because I think about this a lot, it's very tempting in Notion to attempt to reinvent every single wheel. And that is where, at least personally, I've gotten tripped up. So inside of Notion, like Notion is a tool that lets you build tools. So you're building the tools. And in many cases, I think it is smart to use an existing methodology to run your tool instead of trying to both invent a new organizational methodology and the tools. So like for organization, I'm building a new note-taking system. I'm very much just borrowing from Tiago Forte's Para system instead of trying to both make my own new system of organization up and invent the tools at the same time. It just gets very messy there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that was a really helpful answer. I think like adding lots of properties that make sense to you. And then I really liked that kind of divider of like, these properties are important to me. These ones are nice, or they help build the template. I think that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, and I just
Cool.
use a formula property called divider.
I love
It
that.
just has emojis in it. It's like, don't do anything down here. This stuff is not for you to touch.
Totally. A kind of related question is, where do you find ideas and inspiration for your Notion pages? And if you want to go broader, ideas and inspiration for productivity in general.
Uh, I make everything up. Like, I honestly do not look at other Notion workspaces. For me, it's like it's the realization that I'm a fairly big content creator in this space, and I don't want to accidentally crib anybody's work. So I don't use any other Notion templates whatsoever. And that maybe I probably should, just because I'm not, there's probably things I could learn that I don't know, but typically I take inspiration from other tools that I've used in the past. So Ultimate Tasks was me being like, I want a lot of what I used in Todoist inside of Notion. I want a view that says next 7 days. I want a view that says tomorrow, like the smart filters. So Ultimate Tasks is basically like, I wanted to create Todoist inside of Notion and then add a bunch of stuff that only Notion can do. Like, a great area for managing my projects with all the details and spec sheets and stuff.
Nice. Yeah. I appreciate that view too, of like wanting to be original. And I think it comes through in your content for sure. So that's awesome. Cool. We have time for maybe 2 or 3 more questions here. So get those upvotes in to audience folks so we can get them answered correctly. I like this one, which is, what aspects of the template do you think have accelerated the decision-making portion of your creative process the most? Any other tips on decision-making?
Yeah, validation view for sure. Also the fact that it is now is so much better structure, and it gives everyone on my team a great overview of where things are. It allows the team to make better decisions. Because in the past, it'd be like, oh, where's that video? Like, oh, the script's in Evernote. Go check it out there. There's just a lot more confusion. So now, like, everyone on the team knows the script is here. The B-roll list is here. The project dashboard is here, where we can see where everything is. And it makes communication a lot better. I won't sit here and pretend like it's made everything completely smooth, because I think like there's not a single content creator I know whose operation isn't a little bit of a crazy mess. We are no different. I'll get new creative ideas at the last second that'll change things and throw things into chaos, but at least the chaos is managed in a single system. The validation view, though, is a big thing for us. I think it's the part of the system that is like the least interesting to people who are a little bit more beginner content creators. They're like, I don't want to, I've gotten this feedback from customers. They're like, I don't want to deal with topic validation. And that's fine. I think if you're making your first 100 videos or 100 blog posts, like the reps that you're putting in is the most important thing. But for us, like, we've been doing this for about 10 years, and making sure that we're making the right stuff is really important, because it does take 30 to 40 hours to make a video.
Yeah, I think a good answer. Like, it's an art and a science, right? You can systemize parts of it and then really just have to go with your gut. Cool. I like this question too. As an independent creator with no team, would you recommend this template? And I guess, like, how would you change it for an independent creator?
It's not really super specialized for teams. I guess I'll put it this way. If I were on my own, I would still use this template exactly.
Awesome.
Because like I forget stuff. So like the wiki function is useful for me. I'll like paste Loom videos in there, because like to remind myself, oh, here's how to connect to your server. Don't forget, but you will. So here's the details. I mean, if I think I would actually change it more because I have a team, and I'm sort of in this hardening process where I'm making sure all the bugs are worked out, so then I can go in and add more team specific stuff.
Totally. Yeah. It's almost like, like, you need it more when it's just you, because it's so easy to lose track of things when you're not relying on another person.
Yeah. Like, one part we have in our version that isn't in the product version yet is what I call the writer's room. And it's literally it's that same project manager view, except for I'm only showing the videos that are in writing or research stage. And then I'm grouping by the assignee. So I have 3 people on my team, including myself, who will get assigned as writers to different content. So we can go into the writer's room to see who's assigned to each video or blog post, and when is it due. So that's sort of just like the act of removing stuff that doesn't matter to the person by creating a view tailored to them and their role.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Cool. I'm gonna start cherry picking these questions a little bit because there's some really great ones in here. As we're wrapping up, I really like this question, which is if you're onboarding a new team member, how long does it take them to get up to speed using the system? Do you do a one-on-one training? Do you have training videos for them? How does that process work?
Well, I haven't onboarded a new team member in quite a long time, with the exception of a virtual assistant, and she isn't really helping with content creation. So I've walked her through how our knowledge base works, and she knows how to find documentation for the tasks that she's done. But that's kind of something I haven't super thought about yet. In the process of productizing this, I've made tutorial videos for literally every piece. So I guess if I hired somebody, I would just send them that stuff for now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Loom videos are really handy for people watching if you're trying to onboard your own team members. Like it's just talking. It works better than trying to write out the whole thing sometimes.
That was like, I think it was my second like super brain blast with Notion is, oh, I can record with Loom and I can just instantly paste the embedded video. Like I can create documentation at the speed of thought. And that's like a superpower, because creating documentation in the past, like I'm literally writing a blog article and it might take me an hour to do something that with Loom takes me 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. All right. Another question on the template. Why have the analysis view in Notion instead of Excel, for example? Do you export it as a CSV to visualize data in graphs?
Not yet. It's something that we're sort of in the beginning stages of doing, just because I learned about the way Mr. Beast analyzes his data. We still use YouTube Studio a lot as well. So I think the main power of having it in Notion now is just being able to have that centralized area where we can go and we can say that video did really well in terms of average view duration. We can sort by that if we want to. For data visualization, yep, Excel is definitely a more powerful tool. It's just we have not found the time or priority yet to get that in depth about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Alrighty. There's just so many good questions here. I'm trying to make sure I get them all.
One that Mark asked here, I'll grab real quick. He says he already uses Ultimate Tasks. In our support community, there's a whole video tutorial for basically integrating your own copy of Ultimate Tasks into the Creator Companion.
Awesome.
It requires a bit of Notion surgery, but it's definitely doable.
Awesome. Cool. I think we'll just do one more. So I'm trying to pick the best one. I think this one's kind of a nice one to end on, which is Notion has a bunch of powerful database features. How do you think about using Notion for blue sky creation, like mind map, and just creative process in general?
For blue sky creation?
Yeah, pie in the sky.
I mean, I'm a very like analytical systems-based thinker. So I'm building, like with a lot of the stuff, I just build a system, Creator Companion being the most complex example, Ultimate Tasks probably being the second most. For things like mind maps, like I feel like my brain might still be locked a little bit into the bullet list style of outlining that I learned in school, because that is typically how I create in terms of doing research or mapping out ideas. I'm not a mind mapper. I don't really get super into like the linked reference stuff that you'd see in like Rome or Obsidian. I just make huge lists, and then I make liberal use of the toggles to pare down what I'm actually seeing in those lists.
Awesome. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Cool. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. And I know we just grilled you for a solid 20 minutes with questions, but this has been fantastic. I learned a lot as like a content creator myself, and there's things that I definitely want to take back and just systematize my life more. Yeah, and so this has been really great. I will leave the chat open for another 5-10 seconds so everyone can say their final things. But yeah, thank you again for being here. This has been really wonderful.
Yeah, somebody mentioned a tool called Scribe, so I'm gonna go check that out because I don't know what that is right there. And yeah, we'll have the chat open here. If anybody wants to ask more questions, I'm on Twitter. So I think I'm sharing my screen here.
Make it bigger. There we go.
Am I? There we go. I'm Tom Frankly on Twitter, and I do my best to answer all the questions that I can on Twitter. So if you have questions that we're not able to get to here, feel free to tweet me. Or there is, like, if you were curious about a specific thing in the template, at thomasjfrank.com/cc, at the bottom, there is a area in the FAQ to email me if you have a longer question. But if it's something that can fit on Twitter, I'll answer it a lot quicker just because I'm on Twitter a lot.
Awesome. Sweet. Excited to connect with you there, as I'm sure everyone else is as well. And same with Notion questions. You can find us on Twitter and find more webinars in the future on our webinars page. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Really appreciate you all joining once again. And yeah, bye.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out.